Never did I expect. Less than 24 hours after we saw the first indication, Obama put out a post yesterday. We caught it first to report on it. It was the indicator of what was coming. The video exploded. People realized the severity of what was said. But never did I expect to be back on this camera today, telling you he would take the next step. So fast forward, and here we are again, because he just changed the game, taking matters into his own hand now because his party has the absolute inability to do anything right now. So who's going to do it for him? Oh, you guessed it. But he brought reinforcements this time. And wait till you hear what he just did. And that's the story I'll bring you in 1 minute.
Yeah, this is an existential crisis for our democracy. And I think Democrats have to respond in the way that many of the governors are proposing. The Republicans are essentially trying to cheat, to try to protect themselves from losing the House in 2026.
I would not have supported. This is an authoritarian move by the White House to try to make sure that they can rig the election, the midterm elections in 2026.
Wow, I didn't think you were allowed to talk about, RIGing the election. I didn't think you were allowed to say that, but I guess Eric Holder could say that, huh? You know what he's referring, you know what he's talking about? You know why he's talking about? Who the heck brought Eric Holder? Dusted him off and brought him back out of the closet. Do you know who did? Obama did. Why do you think he did? Because there's no one on the Democrat side right now who could do anything of any consequence. So they reach back in. And they go to what is, and what they're trying to make you believe is a new playbook, but it's not in any way, shape, or form. They're pretending now that gerrymandering and redistricting is a thing that only Republicans do. Of course they are. Not that the NDRC was created in 2020. No, don't remember that, please. Because I'm Barack Obama, I'm going to have you believe something different now. And for whatever reason, as next president, I'm going to come out and start doing some of the most irresponsible maneuvers that could be done. But I'm going to wrap them, of course, in a little gift wrap of sounding just so eloquent, so innocent, and so concerned for we the people.
Hey everybody, it's Barack, and I am here with my good friend, Attorney General Eric Holder, because we're facing an existential threat to our democracy, and we need your help.
Right now, in states across the country, like Texas and Florida, these extreme conservative politicians are announcing and acting on plans to slice and dice House districts with the goal of preserving their own power while diluting the voting power of communities of color.
You caught that right. Existential threat. I think we've heard that twice already, haven't we? Existential threat to our democracy. Let's take it a little bit further. These extreme Republicans, let's take it a step further. Diluting communities of color, let's take it a step further. Oh, we're doing this perfect now, aren't we? I've heard this playbook before. I'm sure you have also. And who's the coach on the sideline? None other than Barack Hussein Obama. If you notice a little aggravation, there's a reason for the aggravation. Because this is just the tip of the iceberg of what they're doing. Because now they're going to twist this saga just a little bit further. Because they're not quite done with the divide yet. Now they got to make it a little bit more dangerous. They got to make Trump appear a little bit more insane. A little bit more incendiary. And now I got their playbook all written for you. And we're going to discuss it before I do a huge favor. It appears the algorithm doesn't like Lisa so much. And so I'd like you to teach the algorithm a lesson. It's fairly easy to do, actually. Here's how you do it. You subscribe to our channel. If you're new here, you subscribe. If you think you're subscribed, you double check. If you believe you're subscribed also, just make sure your bell is checked to all. Putting a comment in the video, sharing the video, all lets the algorithm know that you care about this news in the format that she provides it. And then the algorithm suddenly changes and it starts providing recommendations for her. Because then if you're watching this on YouTube, YouTube knows that, man, this video makes a difference to you and it shows it to other people. It's that simple. Now, to keep the lights and cameras on for Lisa, she wanted to give you more news because she actually likes working more, because this is her life. She created this entire network on her own, and she was nice enough when we met to invite me into it. And of course, rather than just go about our merry way, she said, hey, you got to do more work, which she's done our entire life. So we created our own news platform, which was Restricted Republic. We own it. We run it. Because she wanted a home where she could provide you news that, some of the public platforms, there's things that they don't like published, and that's fine. They have rules. But we can provide it there with no commercials, no interruptions, unfiltered, uncensored. It is why Restricted Republic was created. It means the world to her. That was her brainchild, her dream. And she'd love you to be a part of that dream today. There's monthly and annual subscriptions available. Again, restrictedrepublic.com. If you could take a few minutes and you have the means, we'd love you to be there today. If not, again, simply help us beat the algorithm here by subscribing or making sure your bell is checked all or putting a comment or sharing the video. Man, we love you all. Also, love you to subscribe to my channel. We'll put a link above. That way we can continue to make sure we get the news out and the network to continue to grow, because we just provide news black and white in a format people tend to love and understand. And that's why the channels are taking off. Man, it's almost like we called this yesterday, huh? I guess they weren't doing a good enough job. And good old Barack was a little bit upset with the Dems. They weren't causing enough divide and conquer. So in comes a playbook. They weren't done with this PSA yet. And we're not done with what he's doing yet, because he has other supporters. Of course he does.
Doing the same thing in Ohio, trying to give one-party control over almost 90% of congressional seats.
Rather than facing their voters at the polls next year, they're trying to silence them instead.
Eric and I started the NDRC to win fights like this. So, if you want your voice to be heard in next year's midterm elections and beyond, help us meet this moment and preserve our democracy.
Preserve our democracy. Preserve our democracy. Over and over. Did you see how they shoved Jasmine Crockett in there too? I know you did. I guess that's the only active Democrat they can find. I won't take the NDRC sitting down. I won't take Obama's messages sitting down. Because what he's trying to do is vilify Trump and pretend that what Trump is doing is something different than what the Democrats did, which is BS. Our fight is now. There is no off-season in redistricting. No, there was never an off-season for the Democrats either. It's been a game that's gone on forever. Don't pretend it's just Republicans doing it. And here's what the problem is for Obama and the Democrats. They're terrified because their base is fleeing. Because now their base realizes that, well, they stood for nothing. And America's eyes are opening up to what's happening. The more these lawsuits that continue to come down on Democrats and they try to deflect and make it appear Trump's just attacking them, well, that doesn't work so good with your base now, does it? But Eric Holder and Obama created the NDRC to fight against redistricting. And its position was to help Democrats favorably for the round of redistricting in the 2020 census. Ballotpedia put this out, not me. Chaired by Eric Holder and Barack Obama. So this is nothing new, no matter that Barack Obama made it appear with something new. But let's take this further. Because they're upset. And they're upset because Trump is successful. They're upset because Republicans are gaining steam. They're upset because their funding is down. They're upset because they feel the Texas congressional map violates voting rights. doesn't violate anything. But that's okay. Never expected them to take it sitting down, but to go ahead and flip the script on something you blamed Trump for doing for years and now go ahead and use the same talking point yourself. Come on, the hypocrisy is just simply too much, but it's beyond hypocrisy. Did you hear this Zoom call with Obama? I was able to find it for you. Listen to what he states here.
You can't let a systematic assault on democracy just happen and stand by. And so because of your actions, because of your courage, what you've seen is California responding, other states looking at what they can do to offset this mid-decade gerrymandering that is highly irregular.
Irregular? What's irregular about it exactly? Again, when you put words out there, Barack, I'd like you to substantiate the irregularity rather than spewing sound bites and talking points. In a very irresponsible matter, by the way. It would be better if you used historical fact that this has been going on for longer than most could imagine, and it's been done by both sides. But that's okay. We understand that your spin is simply meant to divide the country. Your side is getting demolished. Your side is losing. So what is your side doing exactly? Normally, what you should do for your voters is provide them solutions and actions and things you'll be helping them with. But you're incapable. Your entire side is incapable of doing that. Because now everyone sees what a lack of success that the Biden administration was, that Kamala Harris was, that most of the Democrat governors are, that their states are failures, that Trump is actually solving these issues. What a novel thought. So what did the likes of Gavin Newsom do to fight against that? Oh, that's right. Trump will deploy ICE agents at polls to RIG elections. Wow, is it the same sound bites and talking points? Almost like you are all coordinating to make and flip the script on President Trump. And who's quarterbacking this? The man who I told you was quarterbacking it yesterday. You see how dangerous this could become so quickly. So if you know you're going to lose in the midterms by a substantial amount, and you don't want people to realize that it's because of your own failures, rather than to admit those failures, isn't it easier and more cowardly to simply, blame it on the other guy? And isn't it more dangerous to say it's because he's deployed ICE agents and he skewed the facts? You would never do that now, would you?
Do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
Just because you say things in a nice voice doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't extremely irresponsible and dangerous. Now, is it? So what we do here is just simply point it out, because it is irresponsible and dangerous to say that ICE and National Guard are going to chill people out of the polls. And that's why Trump is sending them to the big cities now, because that is what he is suggesting. And out at the same time comes Barack Obama, our broadcast yesterday that took off. This interview, which is also available to listen to as a podcast, provides a useful overview of some of the dangerous trends we've been seeing in recent months regarding federalization and militarization of state and local police functions. Referencing the article, Trump is building his own paramilitary force. The erosion of basic principles like due process and the expanded use of our military on domestic soil puts all liberties of Americans at risk and should concern Democrats and Republicans alike. All I need now is the mainstream media to chirp in, and we'd have a perfectly coordinated. Trump is weaponizing the government against his enemies. It doesn't mean he'll succeed. Trump is building his own paramilitary force. The coordination is a little scary. But wait, that's right. Because you guys are getting crushed right now. Democrats are getting crushed in fundraising with only 15 million compared to Republicans' 80 million. Or because your net favorability is plunged to near 3-decade low. Or because you have 0% are satisfied with the way things are going. 0%. Could that be possibly because you have no position that you've taken that has satisfied your voter base? Other than Trump bad? And people are seeing through that now. So maybe the responsible thing to do would be to actually provide solutions. But that's difficult and requires a little brain power and coordination and cooperation, which you have no ability to do because you have demonstrated hate and divide for so long now. It's tough to get a coordinated response. So what would be the next step that I'd be watching for? I'd be watching for probably some old washed up artist to come out and start doing songs about, protest and divide. And out comes Neil Young with his song protesting Trump. And so the next logical step, if I was to watch how the Democrat playbook would be, is I would, of course, want to see some old washed up politician invoking the 25th Amendment on President Trump, because that would be the next logical step too, right?
I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness.
And then I'd probably want some old president that nobody listens to come out with his old Blues Brother buddy to bring out some old friggin' game plan to attempt to change the course of the party, because this is such a tired old plan, and I can't believe that anybody would fall for it again. Folks, it's that easy. I hope you appreciate the way we present the news here, because it really is that easy to see. And to not present it that way would be irresponsible, but also the danger in what they're doing is paramount, because some people will fall for this and they won't see through it, and they'll want to protest and they won't understand why, and they'll fall victim and prey to this old agenda, this divide and conquer agenda, rather than look at and just stop for a minute and be like, hey folks on the Democrat side, rather than us looking for all this dissension and divide, is there anything possible that you could present to our side that will better our future, provide for us, make our lives better, our lives happier, more peaceful? That'd be really nice if you could do that. And just because the Republicans are really kind of united right now, and they're making our budget a little bit better, and they're securing our streets, and they're making us safer overall, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as hard as it is for us to admit, a lot of us aren't kind of against it right now. And hence why our donations are drying up, and hence why our registered voters are dropping, and hence why our approval rating is tanking. And maybe we have a bigger problem than dusting Eric Holder and Obama out of the closet to bring old, tired storylines back out. And maybe we should, start listening to those folks over at Restricted Republic who are just showing us what it is. I can't wait to see your comments below, folks. I couldn't wait to bring it to you today. Lisa asked me to bring it to you today because I've been watching this for the last week. Yesterday, I saw the flare go off, and lo and behold, today, it was followed up by Barack Obama doing exactly what I thought he would do. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.